Income in your industry is not equally distributed. 95% of all opportunities go to the top 1 or 2% of people in any sector. And I know this sounds unfair, it's brutal. But once you understand why this happens, you can actually use it to your advantage. And I am going to show you why this happens, why very few entrepreneurs get all the opportunities, and why 99% of entrepreneurs struggle to break even. My name is Chris Donnelly, and over the last 15 years, I've built 3 businesses that have gone north of 10 million in turnover. However, my first company I started 15 years ago, and we helped people build websites. I worked 80-hour weeks, and by the time I was 25, I was making almost no profit. And then we rebranded to Verb. I became a thought leader in the luxury space, and by the time I was 27, we made 5 million a year with 25% profit. It happened because I became what I call micro-famous in my industry, in the luxury space. And trust me, it has nothing to do with actually being famous. It's about being recognized by a very small number of people as a thought leader in your industry. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact framework that I use to get there, and how you can do the same in your space. So before we start, you need to understand something. People have heard of the 80-20 rule. 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. It's called the Pareto principle, and it applies to almost everything in life and everything in business. But here's what nobody tells you. In the digital economy, it is not 80-20 anymore. It's more like 95-5. And in some industries, it's even more extreme than that. When I started Verb, my digital marketing agency, there were 10,000 agencies in the UK, all competing for the same clients. I was 21 years old, I looked about 16, and I had less experience than almost every competitor out there. And I remember sitting in a pitch meeting thinking, why would anyone choose me over an agency that has been doing this for 20 years? The answer, I discovered, had nothing to do with experience or credentials. It had everything to do with visibility and positioning. Fundamentally, positioning and value add is indexed in the buyer's mind more than simply your CV. And let me show you what I mean with this diagram. If you plot the share of leads and opportunities in any market against the people competing for them, you do not get an even distribution. And I've updated this based on the network science and business research to show you a more realistic and modernized view of opportunity distribution. There are only really 5 ways that people discover experts and suppliers. That's word of mouth, online research, social media, leaderboards and rankings, and then news and media, and that's it. And the top 1-5% of people are highly known. They get the majority of inbound opportunities. And once they decide to take them or turn them down, the next 5-10% of people get that attention and get those opportunities. The next 20-30%, they get scraps. And the bottom 60%, they are almost invisible. They are fighting over the crumbs that fall from all of the businesses above them. And this isn't just theory. Think about your own industry right now. If you need a lawyer, a designer, or a marketing expert, how do you go about finding that person? You ask someone you trust for a recommendation. You search Google or ChatGPT. You look at who is talking about the topic and talking about it well on social media. You check the leaderboards and you check the rankings. And even you look at the news, and every single one of these discovery methods favors the people who are already visible. The people who have already positioned themselves at the top of the power law. And if you have ever felt like you're doing great work, but nobody notices you, this explains exactly why. It's not about your skills, it's about your positioning, and it is about your reputation. And the moment I understood this, everything changed in my business, and everything has changed in my life since. So instead of trying to be the best agency out of 10,000 agencies, I positioned Verb as the #1 luxury digital marketing agency. We became the most visible option in a very specific category. And by the time I sold that business, we had worked with Bugatti, Aston Martin, Harrods, Sunseeker. And we got those clients not because we were objectively better than anyone else. We got them because when someone thought of luxury digital marketing, our name came up first, and we made every pitch list. So this is exactly what I'm going to show you next, which is what I call the visibility hierarchy. And in every industry, there are 4 levels of visibility for people. So understanding where you are right now and where you need to be is the first step to changing your financial trajectory. The difference between a worker earning $50,000 a year and a thought leader earning $500,000 or more is rarely about technical skill. It is about visibility, and it is about positioning. So level 1 is workers. They get paid for their time, they do their work, and they trade their hours for money. Level 2 is managers. These are people who coordinate the workers. Level 3 is leaders. They run the team, lead the department, or maybe they own a small business. They have some reputation, but it's usually limited to their immediate network. And then level 4 is the thought leaders. This is where the power law kicks in significantly in your favor. Thought leaders have positioned themselves as the go-to expert in a specific space. They attract the opportunities instead of chasing them. Money flows to them because of their reputation and not just their skills. And when I was running Verb, I spent years operating as a leader. I had a successful agency, we were doing good work, but I was constantly chasing new business. I was in the room pitching, networking, and trying to get attention. And the shift started happening when I started working on the 5 steps of building leverage. So when you become a thought leader, something interesting happens. You stop competing on price. You stop chasing clients, and opportunities just keep finding you. And because you are perceived as an expert, you can charge premium rates. But how exactly do you go about becoming a thought leader? How do you go from invisible to in demand? Becoming micro-famous in your industry is not about luck or going viral. It's about following these 5 steps that I've learned over the last 15 years. There are 5 steps, and each one builds on the one before it. And the first step is positioning and reputation. So before you do anything else, you need to be crystal clear on what you want to be known for. This is where most people fail. They try to be everything to everyone. They are a marketing consultant or a business coach or a digital expert. And these labels mean very little because they're too broad. So when I repositioned Verb from a digital marketing agency to the digital marketing agency that helps luxury brands connect with high net worth individuals, everything changed. Suddenly, we were not competing against 10,000 agencies. We were the only option in a very specific category. So your positioning should be specific enough that when someone hears it, they immediately know whether it is relevant to them. So here is a simple test. Can you describe what you do in one sentence that makes someone lean in? And if the answer is no, your positioning needs work. And if you're just starting out and you feel like you don't have enough experience to claim a niche, here is what I want you to understand. You do not need to be the best in the world. You just need to be incredibly specific. The intersection of your skills and your interests and a real market is where your positioning lives. The second step is intellectual property. So once you have your positioning locked in, you need to package your expertise into intellectual property. And this is your unique take on how to solve problems in your space. And intellectual property isn't just for tech companies or famous people. It's a framework or a methodology or an approach that you can put a name on and that you can teach. Think about Simon Sinek for a moment. Before he came along, people talked about purpose and mission in incredibly vague terms. And then he created Start With Why. And he introduced the Golden Circle framework. And these words and that simple diagram branded it his. Or James Clear. The idea that small habits compound over time is not new. But he packaged it as atomic habits, and he created the frameworks like the 4 laws of behavioral change or habit stacking. And now he owns that conversation. So whenever anyone talks about building better habits, his frameworks are what they reference. So here's how to create your own intellectual property. So look at what you already do. You have processes in place, there are steps that you take to do what you do, and you just haven't named them yet. So think about how you help customers. What do you do first? What then comes second? And there is a pattern there. And that pattern is your intellectual property. So once you see it, try and give it a name. Try and create a framework around it. And if you have 5 steps, you could call it 5 steps of something. The name needs to be memorable enough that someone could explain it to a friend. And I did this when I teach people how to do sales. I kept coming back to the same principles. I turned them into an acronym called SERVE. And that stands for show up consistently, educate, relate to their needs, value over transactions, and engage with authenticity. None of this is revolutionary, but by packaging it into one word, it becomes something that people remember and something people repeat. So the third step to becoming micro-famous is creating content and understanding the content funnel. So I really want you to visualize a funnel. And at the top, you are trying to get attention. In the middle, you are building trust. And at the bottom, you are converting that trust into customers. So at the top of the funnel, you need awareness content. This is lightweight, easy to consume, and easy to share. Big ideas packaged into small posts. They're quotes, they're observables, opinions on your industry. The goal is reach. You want people who have never heard of you to stop scrolling and to pay attention. In the middle of the funnel, you need education content. This is where most people underinvest, and it is the most powerful content that you can create. This is where you teach your audience how to solve their problems. You show them how to go from A to B. When I launched my business Searchable, I created a carousel breaking down exactly how AI SEO actually works and how to do it. And hundreds of people reached out saying it helped them. And that single piece of content built more trust than months of awareness posts. So education is what makes people follow you, save your posts, and remember your name. It proves you actually know what you're talking about. And at the bottom of the funnel, you need conversion content. This is case studies, testimonials, and proof that your product or service delivers results. But here is the key. Conversion content only really works if people have already followed you. They've already seen your awareness content and your education content. If someone has discovered you, consumed your free value, learnt your frameworks, and understood how you think, then a case study lands perfectly. They already trust you. Now they just need proof that you can deliver for them. But if you just post, buy my thing to someone who has never heard of you, it falls flat, of course. And that is why most people fail at selling on social media. They try to convert people who have not been through the funnel yet or built trust. So the ratio I want to give you is 80% of your content should be awareness and education, and only 20% should be conversion. So build trust first, then ask for the sale. So the fourth step is offer and value. Here is where the intellectual property becomes commercial. You need to create offers that allow people to experience your expertise at different levels. Think of this more like a product ecosystem. You might have a free resource that introduces people to your thinking. And then you have a low-cost product like an ebook or a template that lets you go deeper. A mid-tier offer might be a course or a workshop, and a high-ticket service for people who want full transformation. And this isn't just about maximizing revenue from day one. It's about building a ladder that takes people from discovering you to becoming a long-term client or a long-term customer. The fifth step is one-to-many, which means speaking, writing, and sharing your opinions to many, many people. And this is where most people get stuck. They know they need to create content, but they do not do it consistently, or they spread themselves too thin. And here's the truth. Every communication that you put out should reach 50 to 250 people minimum. So if you're still pitching one-to-one, or you're networking one-to-one, or selling one-to-one, you have capped your time. Speaking at events, guesting on podcasts, posting on social media, writing articles, these are all one-to-many activities. So a single podcast appearance can equal a year's worth of networking conversations. When I started treating every piece of content as a one-to-many pitch, everything accelerated in my businesses. A LinkedIn post reaches thousands of people. A YouTube video reaches tens of thousands. And unlike a meeting, that content keeps working for you forever. So if you're thinking, I don't have enough to say, I promise you that you do. Start by documenting what you are learning and start sharing what you are learning. Share the problems that you're solving and give opinions on what you see in your industry. So prolific beats perfect. The people who publish consistently are the people who get noticed. And that's what being micro-famous does for your career or your business. You become the destination, and opportunities, partnerships, clients, and deals all flow towards you because of your visibility. So let me make this practical. If someone in your industry has an opportunity right now, whether it's a job, a partnership, a client project, or an investment, how would they find someone to help them with it?